Some people think that having two financial advisors really means double the wisdom, but it might actually mean double the confusion. I'm going to grab Ryan and we're going to talk a little bit today about whether there's wisdom or not in having multiple financial advisors helping guide you to and through retirement. Let's get started. We're back again on the Pilot's Advisor. Walter Storholt alongside Ryan Fleming, of course, the Pilot's Advisor himself. And Ryan, great topic today that I know you can't wait to light up. Actually inspired by one of our viewers on the YouTube channel. And they're asking, I'm going to read the question in a second, but they're asking about, hey, is it wise to work with multiple advisors? Maybe they're rethinking things a little bit. I know you've run into this before and have some pretty strong opinions on this, right?
I absolutely have a strong opinion on this. And the best way to talk about it with pilots is if you pass somebody the airplane and two people are flying at the same time, or you pass somebody the airplane and say, hey, only use the rudder pedals, it's not going to work out.
That's a great point, because actually someone could assume, if we were connecting the dots here from the pilot perspective, well, hey, a plane has multiple pilots. Why can't I have multiple financial advisors? But you're kind of talking about an important nuance already, in that in the plane, it's not two people literally flying the plane at the same time. You've got split duties, right?
Yeah, one person needs to be flying the airplane at any given time, and it should be very clear who's flying the airplane. So when I talk to a prospect, I flat out tell them, I said, I manage all your assets or none. And if you want to keep your old advisor, then have at it. But you're probably talking to me for a reason, right? And I don't care if it's your brother, your sister, your cousin. It really comes down to numbers. And if you care about your financial future, then you need to pick one advisor and trust them and go with it so that you can see the full financial picture. And so all your assets are actually working together in unison, because it really matters.
Yeah. Well, let's look at this actual question from our viewer. The viewer says, for years, I've had half of my money with one broker and half with someone else. They're both nice guys, and I thought it would be good to get advice from two different people. But now it just seems confusing. Am I better off having it all in one place? We'll answer this person's question specifically in a few minutes, but let's zoom out just a little bit, Ryan. Why is this thing happening in the first place? This question asker, the situations you've run into before, what's the motivation? Why do people split their money up like this to begin with? What are they thinking are maybe the advantages or maybe some of the causes for the situation?
Well, it kind of reminds me when I see people with a financial junk drawer where they have assets all over the place. It's kind of a mess, and I think it has to do with them wanting to spread things out, so they're not putting all their eggs in one basket per se. I could see multiple opinions, or also looking at one account versus the other and constantly, analyzing them against each other. And the problem with all of those things, number one, if you don't consolidate your assets and see them and have them organized, then you don't really know what's going on. Number two, the way portfolios work, if you actually have a prudently engineered portfolio, sometimes it's going to be up, sometimes it's going to be down based off of what it's invested in. And so I've watched people, this honestly happens all the time, where one year, this portfolio we built's up 28% and the S&P's at 16, and they're like, oh my God, I want more of that. Okay. Well, what you're doing is ultimately chasing returns, because the very next year, something in the market, maybe international is a lot higher and the US markets are down. Well, now it's flip-flopped. That old portfolio is performing that was performing much better before is now not looking like it sucks. So I think it creates a lot of different problems, and I don't think it helps a client at all, versus finding an advisor they trust, focusing on the long term and not looking at the short term noise, but making sure your money is consolidated, organized, and working together.
It seems like you're also describing the fact that this isn't always intentional. Sometimes this is a default or an accidental thing that somebody falls into.
Well, I think in most cases, once I start analyzing some of the investments that people have, I think it happened over time. It's that financial junk drawer. I got a little bit of stuff here at Edward Jones. T. Rowe Price has this over here. Oh, I forgot about this account over here at Charles Schwab. Oh my God, First Command. Yeah. Back when I was a lieutenant, I started this account. And once again, we call it the financial junk drawer. I think step one is getting organized, getting your assets consolidated, getting them to where they're actually talking to each other. Because if we don't do that, we don't really have a clue what's going on or what you have. The other time you see it is people that worked at multiple jobs. Maybe they did a bunch of regional airlines, before they got to that legacy carrier, and they got 401ks spread all over the place. Don't even remember where they're at. So it is, I think, step one in trying to improve your financial life is getting consolidated and getting all your money in one place so you can see it all and know what's really going on.
Attention aviators, when you've spent years in the cockpit managing the complexities of flight, isn't it time you navigated your retirement with the same precision? Introducing retirepilots.com. Right at your touchdown zone on our homepage, there's a beacon flashing, "Get my free toolkit." Click that and you'll be cleared for a direct route to Ryan's retirement toolkit, tailor-made for pilots like you. Inside, you'll find two of his important works, The Pilot's Advisor and Pilots Retire Early. Between these two books, you can decipher the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65 and discover the 7 lessons to help pilots land safely in retirement. But that's not all. This toolkit is packed with altitude-high value, including extras to get your retirement plans off the runway and light the afterburners on your 401k. Vector on over to retirepilots.com to grab your toolkit, and let's embark on this journey together. Is there ever a situation, Ryan, just to play devil's advocate, where it makes sense to have multiple advisors? Can you think of any scenarios where you would say, okay, it's fine in this situation?
I really don't think so. I think it's actually just setting things up for failure. No different than CPAs. I mean, there's so many CPAs out there that are tax filers and they don't strategically tax plan at all. And if somebody has a CPA like that, we're going to have totally differing opinions, which is why the CPAs I work with understand pilots. Pilot situations are vastly different from the average person out there because of what the company does with B fund contributions and so many other things, that knowing an airline pilot's lifestyle really matters when we're starting talking about tax planning. So we want to make sure that you have people that are aligned. The other factor, I think you brought up conflicting advice. Do you really want two advisors and now they're saying totally opposite things?
Yeah, one says buy, the other says sell.
And it doesn't mean that one's right or wrong. I mean, you could have different strategies, and that's why once alone you need to find an advisor that's aligned with your feelings, with your values, with your impressions of the market, of the government, maybe even politics. I don't know. Because that's going to define how you're going to react to different things. And I think when I start thinking about tax strategies, I think about, where pilots know that they have to save for retirement, but they really don't understand the distribution phase. And this is where pilots are vastly different, because you have to have a unified tax strategy between an advisor, understanding how that 401k plan is built, and a CPA to understand that we're thinking about something that's going to affect this pilot when they're in retirement right before they're 73 with RMDs, and what we're going to do inside their 401k today is going to be a lot different than said CPA that doesn't understand this at all, and they're just trying to get a small reduction in somebody's adjustable gross income. I mean,
you could see that going wrong in a lot of multiple ways, right? Hey, I've got 2 financial advisors who do the same thing. Well, that's going to create its own problems, but it's also going to create issues if you've got one advisor who specializes really in just, let's say, a broker versus someone who's thinking about the long term and what the consequences are at 73, where the broker probably is not paying any attention to that kind of stuff. And so, again, another example of where you would have this split in opinion, the split in goals, understanding of where the client wants to go, decisions that you would make at somebody's 55-year-old birthday are way different than what the broker would recommend because of those 2 different visions. And so just all sorts of different ways it can go wrong.
Well, yeah. And you might have overlapping investments that, if all your assets aren't talking to each other, you have overlapping investments that create a bunch of inefficiency, could actually get you in a risk tolerance that overall is probably not good for you. Harder to track performance, harder to track fees. The only time where I think I don't think it would ever make sense to have multiple financial advisors. But I think about it more of a holistic team, where you have your financial advisor, but that advisor needs to talk to your tax attorney. And maybe we have a tax attorney that specializes in estate planning for a high net worth individual. all those things together, working together in unison, can really be beneficial. But two financial advisors that might have differing opinions, absolutely not. You could have two advisors. Let's say I had a junior advisor on staff and we had the exact same vision for you and we discussed it and we're perfectly aligned. Well, then it would be okay. Because then it's like, okay, whether I'm talking
That's
to Ryan,
different. Yeah.
whether I'm talking to Ryan or Dave, we're on the same page and we have the same goals, and we might be discussing it internally, just how to get you in the best possible position.
Yeah, I like how you position that. Hey, we're talking about a team. We're very different roles, well-defined roles, boundaries, not too overlapping financial advisor roles. So that's a huge difference that you outlined there.
And I think to close it, what I would say is at the end of the day, having two advisors usually is going to create more confusion than confidence. I think that people tend to do it to try to spread out their eggs, diversify. But I think it has the exact opposite effect. When you think about not putting in all your eggs in one basket, that's all about portfolio construction and having true diversification in your portfolio, all talking to each other. If it's all spread out all over the place, it actually probably makes the problem worse, where you probably don't have the diversification you're looking for.
I did want to ask you one more thing, Ryan, before we wrap up. If you can tell me, how messy is this? So if somebody comes to you and they're like, hey, I've got multiple advisors, let's just say it's Jeff. I think, the person who asked the question today, let's just say, I'm just making up a name, but let's just say Jeff says, hey, am I better off having things in one place? Let me get a review with you and see if that's the case. Or if, let's say, somebody wanted to do that. Is that messy to undo all of this stuff at different advisors' offices and implement a new plan? I mean, it kind of sounds daunting to a layperson. So how would you handle that if somebody came to you and said, hey, I hear you, I've got this situation, I want to consolidate under one roof?
Well, I think that's what I do every day. When somebody comes to me and asks for a portfolio analysis, I'll actually analyze their portfolio and what they've been doing. And we can make a comparison, whether it's just looking at the numbers, looking at performance, looking at fees. But what they ultimately have to do is decide which advisor they want to fly with. Do you want me to be your pilot or co-pilot, or do you want that other advisor to be your co-pilot? And if you decide that you want me to be the man, well, then what we're going to do is we're going to consolidate all your assets and get them all together and talking to each other. That'd be step one. If you don't want me to manage all the assets and you just want me to manage your 401k, I'm going to tell you that I don't do that and it's not in your best interest. And okay. I think a lot of clients or prospects, they're like, that catches them back. Like, whoa, I'm trying to give this guy $1 million and he's saying no. Well, because it's that important. It's that important to have one person flying the airplane.
Yeah, I like that a lot. If you want to safely get to your destination, this is the way to do it, right? And so much like you have very strict rules, regulations, checklists, and plans when you're flying your plane, same thing when it comes to retirement. You want to be following it to that level of detail, that level of attention. So make sure that you are doing those exact things with your financial future. If you'd like to talk to Ryan a little bit about what that would look like, go through a portfolio analysis and see where you are right now, where you can improve your situation into the future. It's actually very easy to do that. All you have to do is go to retirepilots.com. That's where you'll be able to order your retirement toolkit. It's packed with Ryan's books, resources, other great information that's all going to help you better prepare for your financial future. And best part, it comes with a free portfolio analysis where you get to meet one-on-one with Ryan. And so if you'd like to do that, again, go to retirepilots.com. We've got a link in the description of today's show that you can find easily as well, and set up that time to review your portfolio, get your free toolkit, and get in a better place for your financial future. So I appreciate your thoughts and opinions on this particular topic, Ryan. I know it's one that can be controversial, but I appreciate your perspective on it 100%.
Well, thanks for asking me the questions, and I'm always here to help any listeners out there. I think step one with any of this, order the retirement toolkit, but why not have a free portfolio analysis? I mean, why not have somebody else look under the hood and maybe get you in a much better path going forward?
That's all you have to do. So again, click the link in the description to set that up. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next episode. Come back and join us again here on The Pilot's Advisor.
Information is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute tax, investment, or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action.